Mastery quiz number 2. There are several things we're going to do on this mastery quiz. The first part is graphing one variable inequalities on a number line. So just the basics of being able to graph a one variable inequality. Then we will look at solving and graph an inequality. And then the last thing we will look at for this mastery quiz is to solve this equation for y and then evaluate that equation when x equals 6. Okay, let's begin. So graphing a one variable inequality on the number line. First of all, let's make a number line, just a simple number line. In the middle of that number line, we're going to put the number 4. I'm not going to require you to make a super fancy number line here. We don't need all that many numbers. 3 numbers is good. So we'll put the 4 in the middle, and then the number in front of the 4, obviously, that should be 3, and then the number behind the 4 should be 5. All right, so 3, 4, 5. All right, looking at this inequality, it is less than. Just less than. There's no line underneath it, so there's no equal to attached to it. It's just a less than symbol. When it's a less than symbol, remember we use an open dot or an open circle. Okay, that tells us that the 4 is not part of the solution. It is not part of the solution. Okay, well, it's less than, it's pointing to the left. X is less than 4. Okay, it's pointing to the x, so x is less than that. So we go to the left. Simple as that. That is the graph of that inequality. Okay, looking at the inequality on the right, it says x is greater than or equal to. All right, that's what that extra line means. Okay, number line. -2 in the middle. Okay, -1 on the right, and -3 on the left. Okay, the equal to, since the equal to is attached, that means the circle is going to be solid. Okay, remember that tells us that -2 is part of the solution. And it's greater than, so we shade to the right, graph to the right. Okay, the next one is, the next 2 are called compound inequalities. Okay, the first one, it says -3 is less than or equal to x, which is less than 5. Now, in this situation, this is an and. -3 is less than or equal to x, and x is less than 5. So, make our number line. Okay, now on this number line, I'm going to go ahead and put -3 on the left, because that's the smallest. Remember, smallest is always on the left. And I'm going to put the number 5 on the right. And I'm going to imagine that all the other numbers are in between. -2, -1, 0, 1, 2, 3, 4. All right, now, this first one, -3 is less than or equal to solid dot. Okay, x is less than 5, okay, just less than, open dot. So solid dot, open dot. Now you'll notice that x is between -3 and 5. It's bigger than -3 but less than 5, so we shade in between. Okay. The next one is or. It's x is less than 3 or x is greater than 9. Okay, well, think about what's going to happen here. Okay, I'm going to put 3 as the smallest, so I'll put that one on the left, the 9 on the right. Okay, they both, neither one of them has an equal to on it. So both of them are going to have open circles. Okay, now think about it. X is less than 3. That will go left. And x is greater than 9. That one will go right. So or, they go in opposite directions. It's this or this. Okay, so those are the basics. Now, let's solve this inequality. Now, just like when we solve equations, if you want, you can put a line down from the inequality. But remember, that is negative 2x plus 6 is greater than 14. Okay, don't start putting an equal sign in there. Okay, but we can imagine that it's an imaginary equal sign. But we're going to use the inequality. So just like solving any equation, the first thing, remember, we want to get x by itself. Okay, so the first thing we need to do is get rid of the 6. Okay, because we want to get x by itself. So we're going to, remember, do the opposite. What you do to one side, you do to the other. So take away 6. So I am left with negative 2x is greater than, okay, 14 take away 6, that should be 8. Now, we need to get rid of the negative 2. Now, okay, this is something you need to remember. When you divide or multiply by a negative, remember, flip the inequality. Only when you divide or multiply by a negative. If it's positive, you don't do that, okay? So we're going to divide by negative 2. So the inequality is going to now be pointing to the left. It's going to be less than. The negative 2's cancel, and we're left with x. 8 divided by negative 2 is negative 4. So x is less than negative 4. Number line. Okay, negative 4 here, negative 3, negative 5, open dot, and we're going to shade to the left because x is less than. Now, if you really want to, remember, it's always a good idea, and most teachers would like you to check your answer. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to pick. Now remember, negative 4 is not a solution because it's an open dot. So, but negative 5 should be a solution. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to plug it in. So negative 2 times negative 5 plus 6. Okay, that better be greater than 14 when I'm done. Okay, well, let's see. Negative 2 times negative 5 is 10 plus 6 is greater than 14. And 10 plus 6 is 16 is greater than 14. That is true. Okay, so I know it is correct. So if I would have forgotten to flip that inequality, I would have plugged a 3 in there, and I would have discovered that it would not have worked. Okay, so careful on that. And then the last thing we need to look at for this mastery quiz number 2 is this problem. Okay, you've been doing this problem since middle school. So, this should be super easy. All right, so first of all, solve for y. Okay, so that means get y by itself. All right, here we go. So just like I've been doing, I'm going to draw that line down the middle. All right, so to get y by itself, the first thing I need to do is get rid of the 4x. Okay, I don't do anything with the minus 3 yet. So I'm going to get rid of the 4x. Remember, both sides do the opposite. So I'm going to take away 4x, take away 4x. It's gone on the left. Now, I'm left with negative 3y equals. Okay, now remember, you can only combine like terms. Well, 5 and the minus 4x are not like terms. Now, I'm going to write mine this way. I'm going to write negative 4x first plus 5. And I'll discuss why in a little bit. You certainly can write 5 minus 4x if you want, but I'm going to put the x first. Okay, the next thing we need to do is divide by negative 3. Now, we do not need to worry about flipping here because there's no inequality. Okay, so the 3's cancel. The negative 3's cancel. So we're left with y equals. Okay, we've got a fraction. Negative 4 over negative 3. Well, negative over a negative, negative divided by a negative becomes positive. All right, now we don't want a decimal here. We're going to leave that as positive, oh boy, positive 4/3 x. And then the plus 5 divided by the negative 3, we're going to leave that. That's going to be a negative or minus 5/3. Okay, we're just going to leave it like that because we're going to use the calculator to help us out here in a second. So remember, okay, getting a little ahead of myself here, things that we need to remember about this. This is the reason why we're practicing this. Remember, this is your slope, and that is your y-intercept. Okay, slope-intercept form. Remember, y equals mx plus b. All right, well, let's continue and finish this problem. So we are going to evaluate when x equals 6. Well, we just got done with that in Mastery Quiz number 1. So we are going to plug the 6 into x. So y equals 4/3. Remember, use parentheses for multiplication. 6 minus 4, or 5/3, sorry, minus 5/3. Now, we can use the calculator to give us a little bit of help here. Okay, so don't be afraid to use the calculator. So we've got 4/3, okay? Whoops, let me clear that and start over again. Let's go 4/3, so 4 divided by 3 times 6, okay? And then we had minus 5/3, minus 5/3. We're going to hit enter. Oh, 6.3 repeating. Man, really? 6.3 repeating? Okay, yeah. There's a better way to write that, and the calculator can help us out with that. Okay, what if we don't want a decimal answer? What if we want it as a fraction? Well, the calculator, remember, does fractions. Here we go. To do a fraction now, we're going to hit the math button, and the very first one says fraction, so pick number 1. Notice it put it all in for you. All you had to do is go to math fraction and pick fraction. Hit enter. Look at that, 19/3. Much nicer. 19/3. All right, so decimal's a good answer. 19/3 is a better answer. That is the conclusion of Mastery Quiz number 2.